We were all cherry-cheeked anime fans at some point. Sadly, that time usually ends with a bang. It's time for bad anime shows to get what they finally deserve. No matter how many episodes or how bad it is, I'll prevail and beat them all. It's time for Undroppable. I do have to say I'm sorry for not doing this one by now, as it did get suggested a while back, and I remember it being suggested, but when I went to check on the list, it somehow deleted itself from it. Maybe it's some sign of mercy to me really, that I promptly ignored and went and watched it in reparation for leaving it so long. So let's see if we can find some laughter in Chokkyuu Hyoudai Robot Anime, or straight title Robot Anime. This is a show that aired in the winter of 2013, and was produced by Tsubasa Entertainment, this being their one and only show as far as I can find, and is an anime consisting of 12-minute long episodes. And just in case, I'll put this here, even though it has not much to spoil to the last episode, but if it stops me getting angry emails, then I'm all for it. This show follows 3 different robots: a maid robot called Fuji, a librarian robot called Kato, and an industrial robot called Mori. These lovely gynoids are tired of a never-ending war that has long ago since wiped out all of humanity, but since the robots built to do this war haven't got a built-in war over button, they are still fighting for no reason since humanity is dead and the Earth is now nothing but a wreck. A very nice post-apocalyptic setting for our lasses to try and research if learning to laugh will actually help end the war. And that is the setup for each episode, as they try out a new type of comedy in each episode, from the retort and the sharp tongue, all the way to the comedic duo and impersonations. Then at the halfway point of every episode, they try out a new comedy cliche, to see if trying out these sort of things on the robots in the opening will help yield any results in ending the war. With the final part of each episode, we have the mech girls trying to learn more about human society, so as a better way of applying comedy into their research. And they do this in a research space that allows for such simulations, which also has infected them with a sort of virus that results in them sounding like they're laughing while they're actually speaking. All throughout while trying these comedic techniques, we get a narrator being our intermediate for the actions these 3 take, such as how Mori would consistently give the most actual comedy, but neither of the other 2 would notice. But in the last episode, we find out the narrator is another robot called Hanabusa, who has been monitoring them all this time, and is sort of designed like a later version of Asimo. It is Hanabusa that tells them the secret to laughter and how his designer researched it to the last days of his life, but didn't know that installing laughter into robots would rob them of the very purpose for them existing, and they would shut off. A very odd and heavy ending to the season, even considering its post-apocalyptic setting, as the rest of the series is overall quite light-hearted in its tone, and it's about comedy and the varying types that there are, so the ending itself is very oddly heavy considering this, as they do install the laughter program, and so all the robots do shut off one by one, all the while laughing, sort of feeling like a forced end, as towards the end they have started to naturally use these comedic techniques that they've learned previously. So towards the end they did actually start to get a chuckle from me, as they started to use the comedy in a more natural state, rather than the almost forced deadpan, which does sort of make me start to question if it was meant to be unfunny on purpose, as the 3 Robo Stooges have no idea what comedy is, so they both don't know good or bad comedy, or how to even recognise it if one of them did actually say something genuinely funny. And when I get on that line of thinking, my whole view on the anime starts to skew, as if it's meant to actually be bad comedy, it's a work of genius. But if not, then it's your bog standard bad comedy show, made even worse due to how they chose to present the show, as well as oddball out of nowhere ending. On that note, I'd like to make some points. The character designer for this show was Kei, a person you may know as the designer for Hatsune Miku, as well as the opening song sounding like it should be for a retro mech show. And we get on to the CG. The show is the first anime to produce using Miku Miku Dance, a free bit of software that you can use to make your own music videos and skits involving the various Vocaloids, as well as other characters that you can make with the program itself. I won't claim I know this program at all, as it might as well be magic how you work it, but I am aware of some works that came from it, thanks in part to YouTube, as you can find a ton of music videos involving CG models made with MMD, with a simple search, and some I really do like and look really nice, and some actually look better than this show. I'm not going to hate on CG, as it's still a very young way of animating compared with the more traditional method, but considering the time this show came out and what came out either just after, like within a year, or even before, they do look a lot better than this. But with CG, it all comes down to the program you use, in this case MMD. which itself is a very basic program when animating CG models, and so it is very limited in the level of models that it can make. But one point in its favour is all the assets they use for the character models, such as the props and the characters themselves, are all available to download and use for free from the anime's official website, along with wallpapers featuring the main characters all paying homage to different mecha anime past and present. So those types of touches are very nice. If only they put more effort into the series itself, rather than just the extras. So to wrap this one up, it's a very close contender for the worst comedy anime, but I do feel we've yet to hit the bottom of that particular barrel. But I will say, all the while watching this, I did think I'd rather be watching Drussel in Fireball, not at least to her design as well as those of her servants, as they have much better designs that I could believe would come into existence, rather than the ones in this one, as a maid robot built after humanity has died out is pretty useless to say the least. So if you want to learn more about comedy techniques, then feel free to give it a look, as it's okay at explaining them, if only to try and understand the Japanese type of comedy, which does differ from the more Western type of comedy. But even then, you'd probably be better reading around online. And once again, thank you very much for the suggestion. I don't know how you came across this one, but good job, I guess, as this one was a bit of a slog to get through, even with each episode being so short. And with that, I'll see you guys in the next Undroppable.